Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests and friends. Some of you may remember from the time when I gave my icebreaker speech that when I was 3 years old, I struggled to pronounce some words correctly. And with that, my family laughed at me. They teased me into my teenage years. And to them, it was harmless. But to me, at the time, it hurt. So I learned a simple lesson from childhood onward. And the lesson was, the less I spoke, the less I got hurt. So when a kid bullied me at school, I kept it to myself. And when I had a crush on a girl in high school, I didn't tell her because I didn't have the courage to tell her. When someone said something hurtful to me, I stayed quiet because I thought keeping the peace was more important than speaking up. Silence became my default setting. I thought being silent was the mature thing to do. And for a long time, I thought that made me a good person. But silence comes with a cost. Over time, I began to realize that silence doesn't just prevent people from hearing your voice. It prevents them from knowing who you are. It prevents them from seeing what you're capable of. And sometimes, if you stay silent long enough, you start believing the limitations others put on you. A few years ago, I heard a family member talk with some relatives. She said to the relative, "Oh, Seethong? No, he doesn't know anything." And when I heard those words, I realized she wasn't describing what the man I had become. She was describing the boy she remembered, the quiet boy, the boy who never shared his thoughts or his feelings. The problem wasn't that she misunderstood me. The problem was that I spent so many years hiding parts of myself. And when you're silent long enough, people stop seeing who you have become and only remember who you used to be. Silence doesn't just hide your voice. It hides your ideas, your abilities, your dreams, and your potential. And if you stay silent long enough, you begin to see yourself the way others see you. You begin to believe that the quiet version of yourself is the only version that exists. For years, I underestimated myself because I allowed others to underestimate me. And that may be the greatest cost of silence. Not that others fail to hear my voice, but eventually you stop believing in yourself. I know I did that. Every idea I never shared, every opportunity I never pursued, every conversation I never had, and every story I never told. Silence had become a cage of my own making. After a lot of frustration, a lot of reflection, and soul searching, I was done letting silence decide who I could become. Just over a week ago, my wife and I flew to Washington, D.C. for a friend's daughter's wedding. After landing, we went to the rental car place. We signed some forms and were told to go to the parking lot to pick up our car. What we found in the parking lot was chaos. There was no line, there was no system, no organization. Customers were standing everywhere, wondering where their cars were. Employees were running around trying to look for different vehicles for different people. 20 minutes passed, and nobody seemed to know where our car was. So I walked over to an employee with a walkie-talkie and I asked, "Hey, my last name is Yang, and is that my car?" Without even looking at me, the employee replied with an attitude. She said, "If you just give me a minute, I will find out. Jesus!" I could sense the blood boiling inside of me and the steam started to come out of my ears. But then I thought maybe I should let it go, be mature and be the better person. But I couldn't. So I said to her, "Don't Jesus me. I've been standing here for 20 minutes and nobody seems to know where my car is." Suddenly her tone changed. She said in a more calm voice, "What I meant to say was that I need Jesus right now." And so I smiled and said, "That's better." Using your voice isn't about being rude. It's not about being aggressive. It's not about winning every argument. It's simply believing that what you have to say matters and having the courage to say it. Sometimes using your voice means speaking up for yourself. Other times it means sharing something that might help someone. For the past several years, I've been creating a weekly gospel lesson in the Hmong language, my native language. Some episodes I got 25 views, others I got 50 views, and some episodes I got 100 views. I often wondered if anybody was listening to me. Then one day at a family gathering, an older gentleman walked up to me. I knew him from church years earlier. After we shook hands and after some small talk, he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Son, I want you to know that your gospel lessons changed my faith, but more importantly, they changed how I see myself in relation to God. For years, I believed silence was safety. Now, I believe something different. The world does not need louder voices. It needs authentic ones. It needs your voice, my voice. So if you have spent years staying quiet like I did, if you have convinced yourself that your thoughts don't matter, and if you have been waiting for permission to speak, consider this your permission. Because your voice may not change the world, but it might change someone's world. And that might be your own." Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.